What is going on, everybody? Super Nintendo here. Know what you were thinking. What's going on with the cartoon character? I am going to be changing up videos from here on out on this channel. I'm doing new things and I'm going to be showing my face that often. I will be using my avatars. If you think this is a good thing, definitely leave it a like. Leave a comment down below. I am trying to grow this channel as much as I can, and I can't do that without the support from you guys. Let's go to the new content. So I power watched all of season 3 of Death Love Robots as soon as it dropped. I love these shows. I love the concept of giving different directors and artists just 5 to 10, 15 minutes to show something awesome. So we're going to start from my least favorite to my favorite. The very pulse of the machine feels quite similar to Fish Night. That episode in season 1 with a lot of dreamy visuals and interesting thematic content. The chapter seems to follow suit with a really solid premise and a simple but effective twist midway through. Learning that the moon is actually a machine makes for a trippy and hallucinating twist, although one could argue that Martha has just dreamt the whole thing up, given she's on drugs and running out of oxygen. The chapter is intentionally ambiguous in that respect, with the ending featuring Martha walking away and eventually taking a leap of faith into the lava, signifying the end of her life. That ambiguous is ultimately the best part of this chapter, and it'll be interesting to see different theories crop up surrounding this one. For now though, Love, Death, and Robots delivers another great episode. Gibbero. The water effects in this episode are absolutely outstanding. Artistically, this is one good looking episode, and the idea of a siren going up against a deaf knight is a beautiful realization, especially when everything turns into a one-on-one fight. On top of that, sound is used as a really clever tool in this chapter, with the use of the silence against the shrill piercing of the siren, making for an absolute fantastic duel. Seeing the knight get his hearing back, partly I think due to greed and drinking from the water, is a nice way of cleverly ending this fight. Although one could argue that this episode may have been better had they both decided to embrace one another romantically, allowing this doomed romance to be the end of this knight who ends up bleeding out after trying to embrace the siren. As it stands though, the final episode bows things out with a suitable obnoxious ending and leaves plenty of food for thought over this world and how the siren came to be. The final episode perhaps is not the strongest of the season, but it's definitely still a solid way to round things out on a high note. Mason's Rats is a clever episode, an allegory for war and how bloody awful it can be regardless of which side of the conflict you lie. The whole idea of war going on without actually looking, kept behind closed doors, is such a clever way of interpreting conflicts across the world. That ending with Mason seeing all the rats brutally slaughtered and killed is eye-opening and very revealing when you stop to think about how this drone warfare and armies using high-tech machinery to take out enemy forces. The turnaround at the end is a nice way of closing the chapter on a positive note, with the two sides eventually reconciling their differences and realizing that war is hell and not worth the price paid to see things through to the end. Swarm is a fascinating chapter, exploring humanity's purpose on this planet and the idea of self-sustaining swarm within a nest. The whole chapter is set up so well to take advantage of an excellent vessel, and the ambiguous ending cleverly leaves plenty of the table for a potential follow-up. This third season so far has felt like a step up compared to the last year, and this thematical rich chapter exudes just enough exposure to show what's happening while also leaving the wider implication of the world and how humanity fits into it very much open to interpretation. Swarm is a really solid chapter and arguably one of the best of the season in what's been an impressive collection of episodes so far. Night of the Many Dead uses excellent stop motion and great use of comedy to really ramp up the zombie invasion. Seeing the different countries and how they've all become overwhelmed is a nice change of pace too, especially as we mostly only see this from the US side and not a more global viewpoint. Art works beautifully against the story of the invasion, and the surreal comedy works in tandem with the music and the plot, which are all suitably crazy and the end of humanity biting the dust. Despite being the shortest chapter, this one packs one heck of a punch nonetheless. In Vaulted Halls, Entombed is another really solid episode. One that takes ideas from House of Ashes, the Dark Picture game, and blends that in with the choking, catastrophic dread of the descent. This delightful cocktail combines to create a really interesting episode, and one that leaves a lot to imagination. What is this creature? Where has it come from? And what does it want with Harper? These questions are certainly interesting, and I'm sure many people will come up with their own theories over the origins over this in the coming weeks. The CGI in this episode is absolutely insane, and it's testament to how far this art form has come. There's a lot of clever details here, especially when it comes to the lighting or showing dust particles kicking up in the air. Photorealistic and well written, this is another very good episode. Bad Traveling. The second episode of Love, Death, and Robots absolutely knocks it out of the park. The intriguing idea of blending fantastical stories of the high seas against the concept of doing what's right versus saving oneself is a great tool to root out the greedy and the corrupt on the ship. This journey is made all more interesting, giving Torn begins as a somewhat craving character striking a deal with the creature. Only, it turns out he was playing them the whole time and had no intent of sacrificing innocent people. By the end, his heroics are planned to see. Everyone else on the ship are the real cowards. Torn wants to stop the creature from causing havoc. Whether this Thanapod is actually still alive or not is up for debate, but one thing's for sure, this is easily the best episode of the season. Kill Team Kill changes the tone and feel of this season, leaning into more crude and shocking humor than before. Fans of the show like Rick and Morty will probably have a blast with this chapter, given the amount of action and explicit gore this one plays with. The premise is pretty straightforward in truth, and the story does a decent job of continuing this common thread of robots turning on their human masters to cause havoc across the world. The ending eventually rounds out with everyone dying, which I guess is a pretty fitting way to close things off. It would also seem very unlikely that there would have been a follow-up to this one either way. This is going to be one of the more diverse chapters of the roster this year. Exactly poking fun of the kind of stereotypical macho 80s movie, Kill works on much the same basis, but more obviously, it's about a crack team of US Special Force soldiers who all look like a cross between Rambo and the cover characters of every side-scrolling NES shooter, who find themselves face to face with a terrifying monster who wants them all dead. This is by far my favorite one. I would love to see an actual series based on this one. Keep it going. Change it up a little bit, have some of them survive, or let's see the story before they got to where they are now. That would be amazing. Bonus, I don't count this one. I didn't count this one in with all the rest of them just because they kind of do this. They use these three robots a lot in episodes, so it's kind of like a continuation from the other seasons, so I didn't count it. Love, Death, Robots kicks things off with a return to the post-apocalyptic planet, complete with 9 minutes of explosion. While it's interesting to see what happened to the planet, I can't help but shake the feeling this episode would have been so much more effective if we have not been given the big narrative about humanity. Visually, the episode does a great job showing what happened anyway, and it feels unnecessary to narrate every aspect of this. Although, I do appreciate the first chapter with these three robots followed a similar path uncovering all those cats. However, it's great to see our trio back.
They were mean to robots and then robots killed them.
So I really loved this season. We did have some really great episodes, but we also had some that were really good. Don't get me wrong. Again, this is all my opinion. I didn't not like any of the episodes. I liked them all this season. It's just this is how I'm ranking already. So that's the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed the new content. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this. I have been working quite some time on getting this down. So again, I hope you guys all appreciate it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That helps me out amazingly. And you guys are all already amazing. So I'll see you guys next time.